Hello, my name is Dayang and I got a question for you here. Have you ever got excited when your favorite clothes retailers like Zara, H&M, Padini, Forever 21 and Cotton On got sales? I am sure that those brands are quite familiar when you heard about it, right? So, those are fast fashion clothing retailers that make cheap and fashionable clothing, but oddly at the same time, the cost comes at a high price. Right, Nizreena? Yes, you are right. Thank you, Dayang. So the term fast fashion has become more prominent in conversations surrounding fashion, sustainability, and environmental consciousness. This refers to cheaply produced and priced garments that copy the latest catwalk styles and get pumped quickly through stores in order to maximize on current trends. This is just like happens to any fashion lovers out there, right? But however, do you ever acknowledge who actually working and producing behind this very popular fashion brand? You never know. There are two sides of fast fashion that most people didn't acknowledge nowadays.
Fast fashion, where privileged people would never realize there are two sides of fast fashion. Fast fashion is killing our earth. Fast fashion is excess production over consumption in waste. 85% ends up in landfill. This is how privileged people like us see fast fashion. While this is another side of fast fashion that remains silent in today's industry. The side that always got less coverage from the media.
Can you see how messed up fast fashion have done to our environment and humanity? It is clear that fast fashion has a devastating environmental impact. So today, I will present about fast fashion's detrimental effect on the environment based on persuasive article I have chosen for this oral presentation. So basically, it is about what's wrong with fast fashion and how fast fashion is speeding to environmental disaster. In this presentation, we will dive into the cause and effect of fast fashion in today's environment. Ladies and gentlemen, before going deeper into this presentation, let me briefly introduce the contents for this presentation that can guide you throughout this whole video. This presentation consists of 6 parts, which is introduction, target audience, style and tone, the main points, the sources, and last but not least, stance and conclusion. Yes, and since we have gone through the introduction of this presentation just now, so without further ado, let's move into the next part of this presentation, which is target audience of the persuasive article chosen. In every writing, the final characteristic of persuasive writing is the intended audience. So, target audience in writings refers to the specific group of people to which the author is speaking to. So, this article was mainly to distribute knowledge and awareness about dark side of fast fashion to all people out there, especially to fashion lovers that are largely consumers aged 18 and 24 who are often students with low incomes. Female of this age group are found to shop in fast fashion retailers more than any demographic group. Next, we need to discover style and the tone of the author in order to analyze the context of their writing. Style. The style in writing refers to the way and technique that an individual author uses in their writing. In this article, the author uses persuasive style of writing in which they give reason and justification by inserting researches just like this in order to prove their point of view about how fast fashion speeding into environmental disaster. On the other hand, tone. So what is tone? The tone presented in this article are informed, knowledgeable, well-read, in which the author provides heterogeneous of factual researches and evidences in their points. And here comes the most important part of this presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered how does fast fashion actually could affect our environment and why it has a devastating environmental impact? In this context, every link in the fast fashion would eventually comes with a huge environmental and societal cost. First and foremost, it is proven that products from textile factories in countries that produce fast fashion items as a whole is untreated toxic. So what's wrong with it? It contains substances like lead, mercury, and arsenic that are extremely harmful to aquatic and human life.
So lead, mercury, and arsenic, known as the heavy metals that are most commonly associated with poisoning of humans. Heavy metal poisoning may occur as a result of industrial exposure, air or water pollution, foods, and improperly coated food containers. So, these are the impact of heavy metal to human and animals.
So, among the environmental impacts of fast fashion include the depletion of non-renewable sources, emission of greenhouse gases, and the use of massive amounts of water and energy. The fashion industry is the second largest consumer industry of water, requiring about 700 gallons, which equal to 2,650 liters water to produce only one cotton shirt, and 7,571 liters of water to produce a pair of jeans. Can you imagine the amount of water wasted? As a matter of fact, in this article also provides a research from Business Insider in order to prove the back impact of this industry, in which they are aware of textile dyeing is the world's second largest polluter of water, since water left over from the dyeing process is often dumped into ditches, streams, or rivers. Inarguably, that this toxic brought a harmful effect to the health of the wildlife and people who live along the banks, whereas the toxic would run into the sea and pollute it as well. According to Quantis International 2018 report, found that the three main drivers of industry's global pollution impacts are including dyeing and finishing, yarn preparation, and fire production. The report also established that the fiber production has the largest impact of freshwater withdrawal and ecosystem quality due to cotton cultivation, while the dyeing and finishing, yarn preparation and fiber production stages have the highest impact on resources depletion due to energy-intensive processes based on fossil fuel energy. Other than that, fast fashion brings a huge impact on our environment on account of microplastics usage in their production.
Microplastics. So what are actually microplastics? Microplastics are pieces smaller than 5 mm. Some of them are used in cosmetics, toothpaste, or even clothes, but most result from floating that is constantly exposed to UV radiation and crumbles into smaller and smaller pieces in the ocean.
In this context, brands that use synthetic fibers like polyester, nylon, and acrylic, which take 100 years to biodegrade. In addition, microfibers are microplastic that come away every time we wash our clothes. This is very important because non-biodegradable are substances that don't break down easily, which can cause pollution, block drains, and harm animals. Related to this issue, a report from International Union for Conservation of Nature in 2017 stated that they have estimated around 35% of all microplastic tiny pieces of non-biodegradable plastic in the ocean come from laundering of synthetic textile like polyester. Therefore, these cheap clothes are the one of the sources putting plastic in aquatic life food chain. Furthermore, producing, manufacturing, and transporting the millions of garments produced each year uses a lot of energy. The production of leather requires large amount of feed, land, water, and fossil fuels to raise livestock, while the tanning process is among the most toxic in all of the fashion supply chain because the chemicals used in the production are not biodegradable and contaminate water. Can you imagine how many clothes and how much waste that they have produced every single day? In addition, do you know every year the world consumes around 80 billion new pieces of clothing, like 4,000 more than the consumption 20 years ago, according to a documentary released by The True Case in 2015. The average American now separates 82 pounds of textile waste each year. So since we have focused on the environmental factors here, do you know the condition of fashion industry workers is another reason why fashion is unethical? In fact, it's inhuman. Now, I would like to show an interview of a woman sharing her experiences who have been working and suffering in garment factories in order to produce clothes for the sake of fast fashion industry. It is so cruel.
যেমন আমরা এই যে সকালে উঠি, রান্না করি, অফিসে যাই, সারা দিন পরিশ্রম করি এবং তৈরি করি, কত কষ্ট করে আমরা এখানে চাকরি করে তৈরি করে বাংলাদেশে পারে, এটা অবশ্যই তারা জানে না। তারা শুধু পায় আর পরে, কিন্তু এটা আমি মনে করি যে আমাদের রক্ত দিয়ে এটা তৈরি হয়। যেহেতু দেখা যায় অনেক অনেক সময় দেখা যায় গার্মেন্টসে চাকরি করতে যায় অনেক মেয়েকে জীবনও যায়। যেমন আমাদের এই কিছুদিন এক বছর আগে রানা প্লাজার ঘোষণা পড়ছে, আমাদের প্রচণ্ড শ্রমিক মারা গেছে। তাই আমি মনে করি এটা আমাদের অনেক কষ্টের পরিশ্রম। আমরা চাই না যে, আমি চাই না যে বাইরের লোকও এরকম আমাদের রক্তের।
Can you see how inhumanly fast fashion industry have done to them? In this context, fast fashion also poses societal problems, especially in developing economies. According to non-profit Remake, 80% of apparel is made by young women between the age of 18 and 24 years old. A 2018 U.S. Department of Labor report found evidence of forced and child labor in fashion industry in Argentina, Bangladesh, Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Philippines, Turkey, Vietnam, and others. Rapid production means that sales and profit supersede human welfare. Relating to this matter, in 2013, found that an 8-floor factory building that housed several garment factories collapsed in Dhaka, Bangladesh, killing 1,134 workers and injuring more than 2,050 people. According to the true cause, 1 in 6 people work in some part of the global fashion industry, making it the most labor-dependent industry. These developing nations are also rarely follow environmental regulation. For example, China is a major producer of fast fashion but is notorious for land degradation and air and water pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come so far. So, to sum up this presentation, it is clearly stated that the author has been agreeing on how fast fashion brings a lot of negative impacts on our environment. There are so many more issues up and down the complex supply chains in massive fashion brands, but sadly, most go unreported in mainstream media. From environmental impact to human rights abuses, fast fashion has a lot to answer for, but it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. At the end of this article, the author suggests that governments need to be more actively involved in the fashion industry's damaging effect. The author also put up an advice from Patsy Perry, senior lecturer in fashion marketing at the University of Manchester, relating on reducing fast fashion, which is less is more, as a clincher of this article. So we have come into the end of presentation. What a great discussion we had! I'm Nizreena. That's all from me. Thank you.